Do you ever just sometimes start off with your drums?
Yeah.
I think we all can agree that the foundation of hip hop and trap are the drums.
Your drum's always gonna be the heartbeat of your song.
In today's video, we're going to be seeing if it's a lot easier to make a beat starting with your drums and finding that groove and matching the sample to it, and just ways that you can just improve your finger drumming skills so it's less intimidating and more fun on the MPC. So let's go to the browser, hold down shift and hit menu. I'm gonna go to the Unison drum kit. This is like my go-to drum kit. The way I like to pick out my drums is kick, snare, hat, open hat, and then percussive elements. And that's just a workflow that I use. And it's good to have these go-to approaches because it saves you time compared to overthinking about which sound should go first. Because what happens a lot is beginner producers, they get so fixated on the technical aspect that they never really get to the creative process. So let's just go ahead and pick out some kicks. So then I could just hit the pad. When it's on green, that means you could load it to that pad. So we're gonna press load, and if we go to sample assign, we can see our kick is now there. And then we can just keep going down the list. So let's go to snare. Now, a common challenge for producers and maybe even yourself is selecting the right samples for your drums. Even with a good drum kit, you can still pick sounds that don't mesh well together and end up still making an amateur beat. So a quick process for me is just to use the sample that I'm starting off with, whether it's the kick or the hat, and just scroll and pick sounds that in real time that match well together, and just listen out for the timbre. Now, the only thing when you're doing this, you just want to make sure the levels of your preview is a bit high so that you're perceiving it in the sense of if it actually hits hard with your kick. We're just going to bring it up at least to 0. You can hear now how it hits hard, and I'm able to find the one that matches a lot easier now. I like how crown sounds with this kick. So we're going to load that, and then let's get our hi-hat. So now you see I have about 7 sounds loaded, and you can see how I also place them. When it comes to starting off with your drums on the MPC versus the DAW, your arrangement does matter in the way you'll be finger drumming. Now, you can just put your sound on any other pads, but it's good to stick with a common method, because we all know that one person that just want to take the hard route just to feel original and unique and just end up ignoring good practices. Don't be that person. You can start with the hi-hats, but I wouldn't do the hi-hats alone. I will also play around with the percussive elements like. So I'm gonna start off with the kick and the snare. I find that a bit easier sometimes just to get down the foundation. So I actually want to move this kick over a bit to the left, and then we could just press this blue bar to start from there and press play. So I could either play around with the percussive elements to fill in that last part, or I can fill it in with the snare or the kick. But I'm just gonna do that with the percussive elements. So we got a basic pattern, and remember, we can always move things around a bit later. So I got like that first part is like dun 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 dun. And it's good to play that out in your head too, so that your fingers can kind of work along with it. And then you just copy that over. You don't have to keep switching it up. And then you can see we have empty spaces, and we can fill it in with this rim shot that we still have too. So that part right here, move this over. I just want to add that last rim shot right there at the end. Let's try a snare. That sounds cool. Something very subtle. Now we can also fill in some space with some hi-hat rolls. Not to get too crazy, but hi-hat rolls do sound nice. What we can do is hit the hi-hat, go to our note repeat, just double click to have it on latch. Let's do 32 notes triplets. And then the sauce right here is using 16 levels along with it, and we're gonna go to the tune. So now we can have the rolls with the different pitch switches, like. So that's gonna be pretty cool. Let's try that. Man, that lower pitch roll just sounds nice going into that perk. So let me actually zoom in. I just want to take off this last note. That sounds way better than. And then we could just listen more and see where else we could put it. So let's just zoom in real quick at this part. So the only thing about, it sounds cool, but since the other drums is not playing in triplets at that spot, you either can make it play in triplets or just not use the triplets. I'll take it off a triplet. So then you see that your bounce starts to fit a bit better when you think about it in this way. And then just like the other one, I'm gonna take off this last note. Now real quick, just imagine being able to finger drum like Beats by Jay Black or A-Rap Music. What kind of beats would you create at that skill level? For me, finger drumming adds a whole new level of fun and uniqueness to beat making. This is how you really get crazy bounce with less sounds, because you're limited to how many things you could play simultaneously, forcing you to be more intentional with your groove instead of making patterns that can't realistically be played live, as often heard in trap beats created in the DAW. I think we all can agree that the most authentic grooves and bounce come from a live performance. Now you're probably wondering, how can I learn finger drumming? I personally use an app called Melodics, which is like Guitar Hero for your MPC or any drum pad you have. This app is very smart in how they use dopamine to make you consistently practice by using the reward system and milestones to track your progress. I recommend starting off with a free trial to see if you like it. Don't just take my word for it, but I do like it a lot, to the point where I still pay for a subscription myself. I actually like the motivation that I get from playing on an app and how they're using the dopamine to make me stay on their app, but I'm taking the advantage of that by using it in my favor to get better faster. So link in the description if you want to check it out. I got an affiliate link with no additional cost to you, but it helps support the channel. Now back to the video. So now we can go to pick out our sample. Let's go to our main section real quick, just to go to a different track. Make sure you always name everything. So I'm actually going to be loading my samples onto the drums as well, just because right now I want to get more into finger drumming, and I also want to get more into performance. So getting used to having my samples on my drum program is just going to make that process a lot smooth. So then we can load that sample, and you can see it went to this pad, which is good because there's this workflow that I used to use in Maschine where I'll have my sample and then copy it on all the 16 pads and mess around with it. So we're gonna use that same strategy right now. So I'm gonna go to pad 10 and just assign it and just bring it to this sample. And every time you're doing that for each pad, you're actually assigning it. So then we can start off with pad 9 and play the drums in the background. So what I'm doing right now is just scrolling through and finding those little pockets and just counting from there. And we can also even tune it up. Bring our N in closer, and we're just gonna take that part. Then what I wanna do again is assign it, but this time I'm gonna switch it from non-destructive slice to pad parameters. So this pad doesn't get affected if I make any other changes. Bring our N in, and then I want to grab this second part. Now to make this a lot easier too, what you can do is go to main and just actually record it out. Now this is more of an advanced and a technical approach because based on my drums, I can hear where I want those sample chops. And once you can have that idea, man, you can really start getting creative with it. Because now it's gonna play out and I could change the pad live with it. So pretty much I'm changing it in real time. See, I would have never thought about that if there was no drums. Now the end don't really matter because it's going to cut off based on here. The best thing to do too is go to menu pad 14 to get to your program edit, and you want to change these to note on. Because then it won't overlap each other when it comes to the playback. So then I could stretch these out pretty much. And since it's the same pattern, all we have to do is just erase that, and then we could just copy that over. Let's keep looking for a better chop. Yeah, that's fire. Maybe we could switch up this third chop so we can bring that up to pad 11. I just got an idea now. I might have pad 3 play first. So to keep this video concise, I already added a bass line and some effects on the samples, so let's just listen to that. Now, since I really didn't go over 808s, you can watch this video to learn how to set it up, how to tune it and everything, and play with Pad Perform. Peace.